So today, I think let us study an interesting remedy, which I think somehow we tend to not give it too much of importance, but would be interesting for us to know, and that is the remedy Viratrum viridi, and not Viratrum album, which is much more popular. Viratrum viridi, green hellebore, lily family. Although it's a well-known remedy in olden times, typically it was well known for the most commonest type of fevers and pneumonias. That's what it was very well known for initially, Viratrum viridi. And typically the congestion of Viratrum viridi and the way in which the congestion happens was what it was very well known for. The keynote would always be written in all these classical books that the typical tongue of Viratrum viridi, that is the red streak down the middle, somehow would always give you the keynote of Viratrum viridi along with the pulse, which would often suddenly increase and decrease below normal with this pneumonia and very high fever, with this congestion, which also reminds you of belladonna, is what was the most well-known symptom. And all the original authors of homeopathy, the Borek, Nash, Clark, wrote about it a lot. So only two or three other clinical things were it was well known for. One of it is esophagitis. Farrington has written very highly about esophagitis of Viratrum viridi. So that's a remedy. That's an indication you want to know. My teacher, Dr. Shorkor, he clinically verified that Viratrum viridi could be a very important remedy for muscular dystrophies or any kind of neuromuscular dystrophies. And that's when it could correlate it with the idea that clinically it is known to have Tegetial's contracture, athetosis, pseudo-hypotrophic muscular paralysis, present a symptomatology which is produced by Viratrum viridi on muscular tissue. So the sphere of action that we speak about, that was very kind of important here. That was what it was actually well known for, more or less. Because we spoke about esophagitis, it's a very interesting indication of esophagitis that you want to know, and that's why it could be important remedy for acute esophagitis, acute GERD symptom, where the focus is on esophagus, hiccough, spasms of esophagus, and smallest quality of food immediately rejected, tightening like feeling in the esophagus, aggravated by warm drinks like tea, makes it a very interesting remedy that you want to think about in your mind. But I'm here to talk a little bit about the picture of Viratrum viridi, and there are a few symptoms here that always put it in my mind, and that is that they are very loquacious people. And there are some two or three very interesting rubrics that I want to show you here. Loquacity, and they are the kind of people, Viratrum viridi I saw, very highly egoistic, very highly pompous, boasting. But the one thing I saw that how much ever questions you ask them, how much ever things you ask them, you talk to them, they are actually not even looking at you. They are not even listening to you. They go over their rant non-stop. So it's not changing their talk. They don't start with, let's say, the bottle and go to the table and then go to the chair and then to the walls and then to the trees and then to the sky. No, that's change in topics. Loquacity, changing topic, like essence. Viratrum viridi has a very peculiar type of loquacity. Huh? They take one thing. They just, for example, they may talk about a movie and they will go on non-stop ranting about it. They may talk about politics non-stop, and even if you talk something middle, they will pay no attention to it. So this is a very interesting thing. Have a look at this rubric that Master Nair has given right from hearing. Loquacity, one thing about, pays no attention to what is said to her. So beautiful, no? Listen. And the other idea is they feel no end about their own self, their own knowledge, their own weird kind of experiences. And that's why there is another rubric. And that's why this can be a very important psychological remedy for many psychiatric conditions also. You can see a loquacity, exalted opinion of her own ideas and powers in insanity. So interesting. No? I repeat, loquacity, exalted opinion of her own ideas and powers with insanity. Veratrum viridile. So interesting. These two are very important symptoms. And because we spoke about psychiatric conditions, they often have insanity with laughing and sleeplessness as a concomitant thing. And after delivery, insanity, along with sinicifuga. This is another interesting remedy. And with that, you can connect the idea of they are great, delusion, great person. But the idea of where it comes very close to sulfur is, they feel that they know something very great. You talk to them about any debate, no, they will talk nonsense, non-stop. Delusion, he possesses infinite knowledge. Very interesting. Delusion understands everything. I know everything. I understand everything. Even before you talk, they will say, I know this. I know. Viratram viridi. And that's where in a little later stages, they may behave in a very delirious way. Delirium comical, delirium shrieking. Dekho, it is even in a worst cases of sepsis, delirium sepsis with encephalitis. Very interesting. Right? They also have clairvoyance, and that's where you now start connecting it to some snake remedies, which also have this. There is a hysterical phenomena, so you can see weeping hysterical here. There is a hysterical phenomena. There is a little attention-seeking phenomena. It's also very important in treating comatose conditions. In comatose, they will just unconsciousness as if he remained erect. Uremic coma, so very high renal pathology causing coma. And especially this kind of thing going to the brain. Somehow all the things going to the brain, encephalitis, brain-related disorders. Somehow neurological symptoms, all symptoms connecting to the brain. Think about Viratram viridi. But the main peculiarity is their way of talking. Huh? Talking wild, talking irrational, nonsense. Huh? They can even develop suspiciousness and mania. Viratram viridi. Nair has given a symptom. In very worst cases of erysipelas, they start hitting themselves, striking themselves. This is where you think about tuberculinum, tarantula, helleborus. Very interesting. Very, very interesting remedy. And then you also connect it to the suspiciousness of Hyoscyamus. Refuses to take medicines of lachesis, of Hyoscyamus. But the difference is that in Hyoscyamus, there is shamelessness. There is desire to expose themselves, reveal secret. That's all Hyoscyamus. Lachesis is also quite secretive, but there is a lot of maliciousness. There's a typical animal attitude there. So at a later stage in psychiatric cases, they just, mood repulsive, refuses to take medicine in insanity. Very interesting. It's a very interesting remedy, Viratram viridi. A little lesser known, but very, very interesting. So these are some lesser known facts about it. And I feel that if we know more about these remedies, our evolution will be more, we'll be able to broaden our horizon. And I think we can help more patients. Especially these remedies are useful in reviews. When the Viratram album, when the Hyoscyamus, when the lachesis, all these remedies don't help. That is when we have to open our mind and think about all these things. So this is a little bit about Viratram.